All right, Jake Paul and Ben Askren fought this weekend. Jake Paul knocked him out within, I don't know, a minute of round one. So I got some of the thoughts from the entire fight night. But before I get into it, let's just watch the highlights real quick because I didn't really get to watch the fight as closely as I wanted to. So let's watch the highlights real quick. Shout out to Hooper Highlights for posting the clip.
Say that Ben Askren, if he fights the right fight, can defeat Jake Paul.
Freddie Roach was complimentary of his work ethic.
Jesus Christ, I don't know what the fuck Ben is doing right now. He's a world-class wrestler, but damn, man.
That's what he needs to do to be victorious. He needs to fight him like a wrestler, get inside, muscle him out, tire him down,
And control the fight.
I hope they start kissing. You think they'll start kissing?
Pete Davis is crazy, bro. Oh! Overhand right. Jake Paul's in a stance. He does have a 1940 stance.
Jake Paul being a lot more disciplined than I thought.
Yeah, that's the style the fighters used to use in the 1930s. He's about to change that shit up.
Oh, there's a left hook on the top of the head by Paul.
Oh, hits him to the body. Oh.
Fucking bad boy, dude.
He is. Jake, get out. I'm trying to tell you. You think I'm going to put $2 million on the motherfucking goofball?
Snoop put $2 million on him? Oh, man. Gots puts him out. I think Jake Paul was a slight favorite, so Snoop made about... He almost made $2 million off of his $2 million bet, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nah, they wave it off. Wave it off. He's like 36, 37. He's got kids. Wave it off. Wave it off. Wave it off. Wow. All right. So, key takeaways. Number one is Oscar De La Hoya. This has nothing to do with Jake Paul. Oscar De La Hoya was fucked up during that fight, man. He was on one. I don't know what type of fucking shit he was doing.
All right, Oscar, your prediction for July 3rd. How's it going down? No matter who you pick, what's the prediction?
I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. I will fight till the end. I will bleed till the end. And I will go down till the end.
He was, bruh, fucking drunk on cocaine, whatever it was, man. That dude was fucking lit. He showed up, and you could smell the booze and the drugs through the TV screen, man. You could smell it through the TV screen. It was one of those, like, when someone's, you know, when you're hanging out with someone who's just way too fucked up, and then they show up, and you're just like, oh, shit, here we go. And the problem is Oscar De La Hoya still has hands, so, you know, you kind of just have to let him do his thing. So that's one of my key takeaways. De La Hoya was absolutely fucked up. Number two, Jack Harlow is hilarious, man. They did this, the pre-fight clips where Jack Harlow and Pete Davidson, they visit Ben Askren and they visit Jake Paul in their respective locker rooms. And let me see if we can find the clip. Cut to the clip.
All right.
I feel like if I was a boxer, the last thing I'd want is this right before I fought.
Yeah.
You too?
You know what I'm saying? If I was a boxer, I feel like the last thing I'd want is motherfuckers coming in here asking me questions.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are good.
We were gonna keep it really light, like mostly like what's your favorite color?
Yeah, I can tell what it is.
What do you think?
All right, takeaway number three. Ben Askren is still winning, and you know, I look. This dude is we know what he did in MMA. We know what he did in wrestling. He's had a phenomenal career. I think he's running like a wrestling school right now. I don't know how much he got paid for the fight, but it was probably a fucking pretty penny. He was smiling post-fight, having a good time. He's with his wife. He doesn't give a shit, man. He just got paid, and now he's going to go back and just kind of, you know, coach up kids in wrestling, man. It is what it is. Ben Askren is not tripping at all. He was a much richer man at the end of Saturday night than what he started. It doesn't even look like he really trained that hard for the fight, to be honest. And which kind of brings me to my next point. Was the fight fixed? I don't think the fight was fixed. I just think Jake knocked him out. A lot of people obviously doubt that because if you look at Ben Askren's career, he's taken a lot of hits to the head before, and he's a tough motherfucker, and he hasn't been knocked out by those outside of that big knee from Jorge Masvidal. So, look, a lot of people don't buy Jake knocking out Ben that quickly with boxing gloves as opposed to MMA gloves, because we've seen Ben Askren take a beating with MMA gloves and still win his fights. So I understand all that, but my counter would be, one, if you know Ben Askren, and if you looked at his previous fight career and stuff, he doesn't seem like a dude who would ever just lose a fight on purpose. That doesn't seem like the guy he is. He seems like a guy who, if he loses, he's gonna lose, fighting his ass off. So I don't think he would take a dive for any amount of money. But I could be wrong. I could be naive. I just think Jake is developing as a boxer, and he beat him up. And Ben's not a boxer; he's an MMA guy. So, or not MMA. He really specializes in wrestling. So I think he just beat Ben, and I don't think the fight was fixed. But look, it is boxing. We know that pro boxing has a big history of fixing fights, making sure that two fighters are like 20-0, and then they meet for that big mega match, and everyone gets paid. So pro boxing can be just as fake as wrestling at times, but I don't think this fight was fixed. I think he got caught with that right, and he is out. Also, Ben Askren's old now, man. He was retired, so he's 36, 37. You can't take the hits that you used to take in your early 30s, late 20s. Point number, I don't even know what point I'm on this time. Fuck that. My next point, what's next? I think Jake is going to fight someone who's a little bit more legit. At this point now, he's 3-0, 4-0. He's fought YouTubers, former retired pro athletes, and he's won those fights handily, so you got to give it to him. And at this point, Jake is rich as hell. He's training with pros. He's training like a pro. He's sparring with pros. So he's got to fight a pro. And fortunately for him, there's plenty of people in the MMA who now want to take his head off, which is great because this is what Jake wants. He wants to generate more buzz. He wants his own fans to watch the fight, and he wants people who hate him to watch the fight. That's how you have a big event like that. So I think Jake is going to fight someone somewhat legit next. You can't put him against like a fighter in his prime. Like, that's not necessarily fair. So you're going to have to find a matchup that, does make it somewhat fair. Jake's been talking a lot about fighting McGregor. That would be an incredible fight if he boxed Conor McGregor down the line. Right now, he's not at that level where he can get that McGregor fight. But if he keeps winning a few of these fights, at some point, McGregor is going to have to do that fight because there's just going to be too much money involved for both parties not to do that fight. And it's boxing. I mean, once you come from the MMA world and you go into boxing, in your mind, you're like, man, what's the worst that can really happen? Like, I don't get my wrist snapped off or anything like that. So I think the McGregor fight, if Jake keeps doing what he's doing, it's going to happen. Lastly, the amount of money generated from this fight was insane. I think they made like $75 million or something off of this fight. I know a lot of people were criticizing the entire show. They're like, why did I fucking pay $50 for a concert, man? This was a waste of time. I had a fucking blast. Bro, it's only $50. You split that with 4 or 5 people. You get some drinks. It's not a bad way to spend a Saturday night, man. I was entertained as hell. I thought Snoop was hilarious. Jack Harlow was hilarious. Pete Davidson was hilarious. The performances were pretty good. It was not a bad show, man. It was not a bad show. Within 30 minutes, I was like, man, I'm pretty fucking entertained right now. So they put on a show. Generating $75 million is nothing to laugh at. That is some serious money. It just goes to show that celebrity boxing is just getting started. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Hey, maybe someday if I grow enough this channel, maybe you'll see me boxing. Or maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, look, you can criticize it all you want, but you got to understand a few things. There's not a shit ton of money in MMA right now, and a lot of the fighters are underpaid. So Jake Paul represents someone who, to these fighters, equals a payday, and they're happy for that, man. Like, you get to knock this kid out or potentially knock this kid out, but at the same time, you get to get paid. So a lot of fighters are chomping at the bit for this opportunity, but you can get mad at Jake all you want and say, he's insulting the sport. He's bringing money into the sport right now. He's bringing money and eyeballs into the sport. Boxing, for years and years and years, people were saying was a dying sport after the golden age of the 80s and early 90s. Well, now it's coming back, and it may not come back with the real boxers, the guys who've been doing it their entire lives, but even someone who like Jake, who's a celebrity boxer, and now he's trying to become a real boxer, even he's bringing eyeballs to the sport. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think the $75 million payday goes to show just what type of attention that he can draw. And if you're a boxing promoters, how do you not look at that and say, we can do something with this? So look, those are my thoughts from the fight. I think at this point, whether you hate Jake Paul, whether you're a fan of Jake Paul, you can't deny that he's done what he's had to do against all these fighters. He's knocked them all out. He's knocked them all out. So he hasn't lost yet. So you got to start putting real fighters in front of him. And if he starts beating some of these real fighters, you got to put some respect on his name. As a fighter, you got to. So that's all I'll say. Those are my points. I thought it was an entertaining ass night. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I'm trying to grow my channel. I got 11 fucking subscribers. I'm in the poverty zone right now. Help me out, all right? Other than that, catch you guys later.
Man, they try to do me dirty. Heard it from a birdie. Told me